And hello and welcome to episode 27 of the DomJake podcast. I'm your host Dominic.
And I'm your host, Jake.
Alright, so in this particular episode, I'm going to start off by asking the viewers a question, which I'm sure most of you have already know about.
What is that? That wasn't me, that was the viewer.
Oh, what? Well, kids.
What was that?
Well, kids, who here has thought of music concerts?
What the heck is music? No, just kidding. Yeah, I'm sure everyone has. Yeah, me.
Oh, that's great. Well, the question here is, why do people like going to concerts?
Because it distracts them from the inevitability of dying way too young.
That's a good joke there, but no, I think people
wasn't joking.
Okay, we'll get the
dying tomorrow. No.
All right, well, we'll send you to the office. Okay. Well, I think people generally like going because they have a favorite artist in mind that they like to go see. People like to go just for the social aspect, and people just like to have a good time.
And I think there's also just a sense of culture to it, too, where it's like you're able to, watch people play or perform, I should say, different historical pieces as well, in cases of, classical and opera, which is also kind of tied into classical as well, so... But yeah, there's a sense of culture, and there's a sense of, I guess, unity. There's a sense of anything, really.
I'd say so. Well, it's another way to meet new people there, like meet new friends, anybody that matter. Or how about, or it's somebody you haven't seen before or heard on the radio, and you want to see who this is. And wow, this person seems cool. I better start listening to this guy's music. Or whoever.
Yeah, but the thing that some certain audience members might be thinking of asking, actually, hang on, but hey, I snuck back into the recording studio to ask you something. I'm the same audience member that said you're gonna die tomorrow. Anyway, I do have one question though. I'm not gonna do this bit anymore. No, obviously that's me. But some people might actually be wondering though, what the point of going to their concert is if they could just download their album and just listen to it on repeat for Spotify, right? Just listen to it in your own stereo and you have it yourself. What's the big deal about going to, New York just for a one night experience?
Well, I guess this falls under that category. I mean, if not limited to like going to the movie theaters versus streaming at home. Again, I guess going to a concert, you see an artist that you've been really listening to, but what would it be like if they performed, like if you saw them in person performing that very song that you like? So fine, travel however many miles to New York and you go to see that artist, whether they're actually singing or lip syncing their song.
Oh yeah, we got some Milli Vanilli moments here.
Yep. But I think that's why people like going to concerts versus just listening to that same song on repeat.
So I think you're able to deduce from what we kind of were talking about, but I think it's also safe to define what concerts are and what live music performances are, just on the downside that some people just really never heard of it. In that case, oh, I guess you're the host. You should probably say it.
Well, to give you my best definition, I would say it's usually a live event of bands or rap artists or pop artists, whatever the name is, choir, orchestra, just any event where there's live music that's not pre-recorded or anything, unless it's a pop artist that's have pre-recorded instrumentals. But mostly it's people actually performing the song with instruments and the people are singing.
Right on, right on. And I do have one follow-up question. Do weddings count as concerts?
Um,
Because they
it
have those bands, they
is
have
it
those performers.
in varying degrees, yes.
Heck
It
yeah.
doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be famous. It doesn't have to be somebody famous. It can just be just some local Joe down the street performing a song or cover or something they wrote. I guess like either what you, even if you're performing for your stuffed animals, sure, it could be a concert,
And even if
but
even if your stuffed animals are performing for you,
hmm, yep.
except you might also need to check into a psych ward in that case. But
Well, but by definition, it's a live event where you're performing music via instruments and vocals.
and that's the important part.
Yep. We could talk about the different genres of concerts. It's not, it doesn't necessarily mean rock, although when people think of concerts, not all, but a lot of them do think about like guitars and drums and all that, or like a rock concert. But like it can mean other things, like we mentioned, like people just singing a pop song, or orchestra, choir, or just any symphony stuff. Does
Totally.
that's Yep. And I could probably name a couple of artists that have. I mean, I'm sure we all know, like say Rob Thomas. I'm sure we've heard of him in the band Matchbox 20. I mean, he's done some tours. How about Rush, which is another like band in the 80s? That's just to name a few. Or
So
how
I didn't want to cut you off with that, but um, you're talking about a few artists. Um, I was thinking you were going to get into a little bit of the genres as well. I mean, you kind of a little bit did, but there every music genre out there is definitely possible to have a concert version of it, whether it's choir, orchestra, whether it's band, whether it's jazz band, even.
or
Um,
blues?
yeah, yeah, blues genre, rock concerts, like you said, gospel, the friggin' R&B, which is
Kenny
really
G.
blues. Kenny G is one type of person. But yeah, jazz. You got Peking operas over in China. Um, you even get virtual concerts. Yeah, you ever hear of those?
Uh, yep, I've heard of them before.
Basically, for those of you who don't know, virtual concerts are basically concerts, but you tune in with a device. Usually it's like a phone where you just log in and, oh, wow, you're kind of watching a live stream, but not kind of. It's weird. It's different.
It's
It's a unique experience of its own, right?
it's literally just it's like watching a live concert on let's say on a New Year's Eve party and you're watching someone perform, or somebody on Saturday Night Live. That's literally what it reminds me of.
Like for me, it's like the cameraman is you, right? Like your perspective is where the camera is. So it's like
Hmm.
you're just a part of the audience.
Hmm.
And if it's like one of those 360 degree cameras, you just be able to kind of look around and immerse yourself. It's like you aren't actually at a virtual concert. You're
Hmm.
actually there. And a lot of the virtual ones aren't necessarily just oh live bands like actual people where oh you just can't make it so you could tune in on whatever live streaming service. Some of them are even animated characters, right?
Yeah.
Like you could literally tune into a virtual concert of One of the popular ones is Hatsune Miku. You ever hear about that one?
I've heard of that
You've
before.
heard of that? Cool.
I heard of the name.
Yeah, essentially that in summary is basically just like an animated Vocaloid. Like
Hmm.
Vocaloid back in I think started like 28. I mean not 28, 2008 around then maybe was just a program that you could type words in and they would get narrated or sung by a digital voice.
Hmm.
That's what a Vocaloid is. Um,
Interesting.
they're pretty neat. I mean, it's you got in most cases you could definitely tell that it's a virtual voice, but it's one of those things where it's like up to the discretion of the composer to use the voices in cool ways. So some
Hmm.
Vocaloid songs are actually legit cool, but um, I
Hmm.
digress a little bit. Um, I was kind of thinking of possibly. Do you have
Yeah.
any? Do you have any personal experiences attending any, or possibly being involved in them in any way?
Whether it's I guess whether it's we're talking about school concerts and rock actual concerts, I've been to both.
Let's. You know what? Let's start with school and graduate to real concerts, if you want to call them that.
Well, official concerts, but I think you've had this before, but um, every time we have an assembly in school, I mean, not every assembly we've been to, but one of those very special assemblies we have, like some special, like we've had little concerts every now and then. There's two I remember specifically in elementary,
I'm not sure. Right, right.
which let's see, one of them is called. It's like an a cappella group called Spizwinks, I think. I have to look them up, but that's what they're called.
Wow.
It's an interesting type of name for a group.
I've I mean, I might have had the same guys coming to ours, but I did not remember any name. You're gonna have to type them out
Uh,
in like a text or something.
I have the spelling. I found it right here. The Spizzwinks.
Biz Winks.
Yep, they are an a cappella singing group from Yale University of undergraduates.
Spiz, the Spiz Winks.
I remember them visiting my elementary school in fourth grade.
Any other except for the acapella guy?
Um, there's this other guy who's, I guess he made music for kids. His name is Steve Elsey.
Steve Elsie. Let's go.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so that I remember specifically, and I think from that up, I don't remember. I honestly don't remember, and I don't think there's any memorable, like, guess concerts other than I mean, the school orchestras and that band. They were pretty memorable because, well, we've had them every once in a while. Have you been to anything? What do you remember?
Well, yeah, pretty much. The two of us went to different elementary schools. So I did have a few elementary experiences. Mainly, we did, musical plays and stuff like that. I remember seeing like a Max and Ruby one there. Um,
Mm.
I don't remember what was in that musical, but hey, it technically counts as a concert because,
A
like,
Max and Ruby show.
yeah, I I
Um,
can't recall really what happened there because I was young and whatnot, but
well,
that was like elementary school sort of stuff.
okay, yep. I guess, yep. I guess I went to something when I was very little, but it was really more for my older brother. But same place.
Mhm.
Um,
Nice.
I guess we all went to go see the Wiggles, but me and my sister felt were asleep throughout the whole show because we were babies at the time.
Nice.
And
Fifth grade, we had like the middle school. our local middle school coming into our school to perform as well. And that kind of inspired me to go into it myself. So by time school came up, I signed up for music classes, music groups, and stuff like that. Which essentially I've been doing it from 6th to 12th grade, right? Pretty much 6 years, right? Um,
Mm-hmm.
so those people kept on coming in, and the upperclassmen technically count as concerts, right? Yeah. Um,
Um,
whether or not they're considered, actual performances or not, they're still performances, right? Um,
yeah.
they still, in my books, count as concerts, right? Um, but I did mention actually signing up for the music classes too, which led me to performing in some wild things, but those are actually in high school. Um, in 8th grade, though, last year of middle school, at least over here, um, we went to one of the other schools that was there with like friggin' 8 other like schools and stuff like that, and we had like a combined choir too, right? And that was like a freaking big ass thing. That was awesome.
Hmm.
But
Pretty cool.
like I said, in high school though, that's where the big things kind of happened. Um, namely, things that I remember, we were practicing a lot of Beatles songs, right? That's because Beatlemania came in, and that's a cover group of the Beatles, right? And they're pretty popular for a cover band, but formed with those guys as backing singers, backing bands, backing orchestras, and so be it, so forth. Um, memorable experience was on a trip to my then music teacher's place, right, where he graduated, and
Mm-hmm.
thing too, because we were like the only choir who performed at this thing. It's pretty neat. Long story short, I've been in a few.
Hmm. Pretty cool.
Uh,
Anything else?
after after hearing my long tangent of my school time experiences, I guess, of being in them and attending them, do you have any, I guess we could call them real world experiences yourself?
Well, aside from what I mentioned, but when I had to bring up the when I brought up earlier because of the location, I've been to a couple. One of the earliest ones I remember, well, my sister was supposed to go to this one, but I ended up going instead. Selena Gomez in 2013, but because even though it's really I'm not the demographic, but just going to
Don't
a
say
concert was
that.
cool.
You
It
fit
was
the
still.
demographic.
I mean, I'm not, but no, it was a fun time. It was a fun time. Uh, a year later, I went to some rock band called Five Finger Death Punch. I'm not sure if you've ever even heard of.
No, I've definitely heard the name. Just might have to listen to something because I typically don't know things just based off of hearing the name. Sometimes I just have to listen to it.
Let's see. Fast forward 5 years, which would be 2019. I went to see Thomas during his Chips Tooth tour when he was promoting his new album at the time. That was also a pretty cool experience, just because I've rarely ever go to a concert.
Nice.
Then I've been to earlier this year. I've been to well, two kind of because both the same group too. When I those two times that I went earlier this year. Um, let's ask this question. Does anyone remember? Do you remember the Nickelodeon show Big Time Rush?
Oh.
Yep, they had a thing at the Today Show this earlier this year, and I went to New York around like 5 or 6 in the morning. They had their little show like around 8 at night. All right, I got home. Yep, all that. Lost 40 hours of sleep that around that time, and then I saw them again. I saw Big Time Rush again earlier this summer. It was a pretty fun experience, like usual. Like I say with every concert, because I don't really go to them that often. So every concert is a unique experience.
Nice.
And as of now, that's my only concert stories I have. More to come in the future.
I mean, definitely, because it's. I don't want to. I don't want to say too much, but let's just say that's certainly an experience the two of us will be doing sometime in the future. You sound like you have a lot of concert experience under your belt. Um, the only concert the only concert experiences that I really have are stuck in my school years. As that I'm graduated, I've never been to one, not a
Hmm.
one. So I'm still looking for my, I guess, real world first concert. Still looking for that.
Mm-hmm. Good because it's like if you go often, then yep, you're draining your money.
True.
So fun. Don't get me wrong, but no, I'm sure at some point there will be somewhere you like, and then rock on
Or country on, or blues on,
or jazz on.
or pop on.
Well,
On the
pop
Sailor
on what?
Man.
Yes, as of now, those are our personal stories that we have. So as far as I know, even though this was well before our time, but there is this very influential artist. He goes by Queen, which I think you and I both have know a lot of their songs for.
Oh, yeah.
And
Queen Elizabeth, may she rest in peace.
yes, definitely she should. Um, but yes, Freddie Mercury.
Oh, that one. That one. Close.
Well, yes, Queen Elizabeth, rest in peace. But that's not who we're talking about. Today we're going to be talking about a guy who's known as Queen, Freddie Mercury. But one of his songs on purpose was supposed to have the audience like feel like they're part of the show.
Mm-hmm.
Specifically, the song "Rock You." Like, if you've ever watched Bohemian Rhapsody, I mean, it's based on true events, but they were talking about, oh, why don't we have a song that we can get the audience like involved, so it's not just me singing.
You know who initially had the idea for that song?
It's been a while. You'll have to remind me.
Because Queen is not just one person. Queen is a group of people.
Yes, I know that. Well, yeah, it wasn't just him.
What a professional concert episode this is.
Yep. Well, yep. Queen is a group of people. They are a British rock band, which people think about Freddie Mercury, but I mean, by and large, the whole band, a lot of their songs wasn't just them singing. It was also, they didn't wanted to get the audience involved too whenever they had concerts. Songs like Another One Bites the Dust and Rock You. And then there's also, around the time we've also had Elton John And at the time, people never really heard of this type of music before, and people were like going crazy. And the movie,
Another English guy.
yep, they're all British rock bands.
Right, now you're gonna talk about the Beatles, right? Right?
And
You're
yep,
gonna talk
I
about Ed
wasn't.
Sheeran. And then you're
Well, now that you brought up the Beatles, I'm gonna talk about it. So,
sure.
I guess besides their hair that like women were freaking out about, in a good way, they were also a popular band in the '60s. They were pretty influential in the day because they yep, not only their hairstyle, but also the music and the songs, just like every other musical artist.
Something else that happened in the 60s was I think it was a one-time thing, but I could be wrong about that. I really am sure that it was a one-time thing. But Woodstock happening in New York. Basically, the gist of it was Woodstock, a music festival, was being held in New York, where they would invite a lot of the very famous, the influential musicians of the day back in the 60s.
Mm-hmm.
And they would just perform for one night. Saw people like Bob Dylan. It saw people like Prince. It saw people who were revolutionary at that time.
Ooh. Speaking of another revolutionary, I know it's thought of one other artist, which started off as five brothers. Jackson 5. I'm sure you know who I'm starting to mention. One of them, Michael Jackson, he was pretty revolutionary at the time, not only of his music, but he was also a good dancer. And because he was also popular, then comes his sister Janet Jackson, if I'm even not mistaken. And then what else were you gonna say?
I was just trying to get into actual like famous concerts that have happened. Like I know
All right.
Woodstock is I mean it's pretty much a music festival, but it is a series of concerts, I should say. Um, you did mention Queen before, them really performing their butts off at Live Aid. That was a pretty influential one at the time. Actually, still is. Um, basically, any artist that you could think of has their stage moment, has their big influential. This is the concert that we know them from.
Yeah.
Like, throw out any name, and I'm sure there's a big concert that someone's done. Any name at all. Great.
Oh,
I heard Kesha from the audience. I'm sure if you look up Kesha best performance or something, it's going to be a live show somewhere, and that's the one that everybody knows.
yeah. And another well-known artist, like around the '60s and '70s, Elvis Presley. He was known for the hip swinging and all that. It was even controversial at the time.
Oh,
And I don't know. It's just I guess people thought, well, a lot of some one of his moves were I guess considered. Let's see, they were pretty. I guess it was not necessarily provocative, but it was still like, oh, this is this is weird. But at the same time, people were obsessed with him.
this coming from a period of time when if ladies showed their ankles, that caused, ooh, oh baby, I see them ankles.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, throw
Yes,
me
he's
up some
got.
sarsaparilla because I see them ankles.
Uh,
Man, they would have a
yes,
field day today, those guys, man. Woo.
yeah, they would. But every other artist has their own unique legacy that gets carried on. We don't have to go through every one of them,
We physically can't.
but all know Michael Jackson. He's had his moments too when people were obsessed with his dance moves. Oh yeah. So speaking of, now that I think about it, not some pretty creative ways of starting the show. Not just having the concert itself, but the start of the show, where the way he enters in. And this goes for every other concert. They all have their unique ways of starting, not counting the opening acts. Yes, we all know those like last longer probably than the actual concert does. All right, I think we've talked about that. Say not every concert is perfect. In times that the artist gets angry, they cancel the show immediately mid-show or injured. Name one that injured himself on a show. Post Malone. Don't remember when, but he injured himself. I think some don't remember how, but he got hurt. There was a video online of Justin Bieber just getting mad at a fan and ended the show mid-show.
I have something right here.
Let's talk. Let's spill the beans.
I don't think I can exactly show you, but I you know what? I could cut the link and I could paste it. I'm just gonna highlight that and paste it right here. Tell me if you've seen this, and if not, when you finish seeing it.
Looks like we're doing a live reaction here. All right.
Yeah. It's just like a 5-second clip, right?
That's interesting. I mean, so now I gotta wonder: was he actually singing, or was he just lip syncing?
Oh, well, from the look of it, he was actually doing things because the autotune is picking up like him falling over, right? Like you can't pick up audio if you're lip syncing, right? Like it
no.
you can't just it's going like yay. I think it was like he was hoisted on something or something, like doing like a aerial show, or I don't know, but like some malfunction happened, causing a funny fail.
That's pretty funny, but I'm not.
There's another one. I think it was 6ix9ine, but I really might not be correct about it. But someone else fell off the stage with a microphone, and it was like, "Yo, punk."
I remember. I've heard. Oh yeah, there's another something story of a Cardi B concert where somebody threw a water bottle at her, and then she threw her mic at that person, and then it turns out she was just lip syncing or singing over her own vocals.
I mean, that's not exact. I mean, that's for me. That's not as big of a deal as straight up lip syncing, because sometimes a song might have 5 layers of your voice, right? But
Mm-hmm.
in a live performance, you can only do one. So by having, tracks 2, 3, 4, and 5 just playing, you could perform number one live. Of course,
Mm-hmm.
other people do it where it's like 2, 3, 4, and 5 are given to backup singers. That sometimes happens. But in my opinion, that isn't really a bad thing if what you're saying is accurate. Um, but we're not talking about controversial singing stuff. We're talking about the concerts themselves, and specifically the concert fails right now.
But no, besides that, but I've seen a couple of concert fails. Not in person, but
I really want to see some in person, man. Like my first concert, I want a concert fail.
Like, would you want to go see Justin Bieber then watch him just cancel?
I mean, not necessarily that, but like seeing somebody just and they have to be okay because that's what makes it funny.
They have
Like
to be okay.
they have to be, they can't get squashed by a stage light and actually be done performing forever. No, that's traumatic. I'm talking about things where it's like, oh, they fell 2 feet onto like a padded ground, but
Mhm.
they had their microphone on, so they're going, ooh.
Yeah, those are pretty funny to watch. As long as they're okay, they're pretty funny to watch.
That's
Uh,
a good old caveat there.
so those are concert fails. Um,
There certainly are concert fails. I did
um,
mention one of them before, like Milli Vanilli. That was a lip sync thing.
mhm.
It's like their whole concert experience was lip syncing, right?
Yep.
The face of the band was not the same as the singers of the band. And I think later on, the actual singers made a name for themselves.
Mhm.
So it wasn't just ghost performances anymore, it was actually them. For the life of me, I can't remember their name because, Milli Vanilli went down in history as the name.
Yep. Those. So I guess I could talk about one of the next things. Uh, as far as I know, the evolution of concerts within the past 20, 30 years, 40 years, they've practically been the same. It's just the music has changed. Yep, and the artists have
Hmm,
come and go.
I almost don't share that sentiment that the
Really.
concerts themselves are unchanged. You're probably still just narrow minded, just thinking about only like rock and roll, right? Yeah,
Maybe that,
you're
but I'm
probably
sure,
only thinking of
but
your familiarity. There are
um,
definitely different things. I mentioned one before,
virtual concerts,
that being the virtual ones. Yeah.
which we've never had before.
I
Oh,
mean, I
that, oh,
I've been in the audience of a virtual one, kind of technically. It was someone who recorded it, and I just simply watched a show, but kind of, I wasn't there in person. I wasn't there live, but
mm,
yeah, kind of counts. But that is a that is by definition an evolution of a concert. It's adding an additional element that wasn't there.
yeah, that, I mean, when it comes to that, yeah, um, there's different ways of watching them. Or how about, let's go back to the NSYNC era or Backstreet Boys era. You would get a VHS of a full concert, but then now you can just watch a live stream concert or watch like a YouTube video of it. In terms of going to the concert, not much has changed other than artists coming and going, and then the styles of the music. But yes, you can.
I'm still not quite certain I agree with that, though. Even like an in-person, yes, this is coming from someone who still hasn't really gone to anything, but I still deep down feel like even if I was to go to an in-person one, it's going to feel different. It's going to be different and have different things. Sure, some of it being constant for, 100 years now, but
Mhm.
I'm sure there are definitely big things that you're maybe overlooking. And I can't physically name because I haven't experienced it. I don't know
Um,
comparing it to, but just the fact that nothing's changed over like 100 years, I
I mean,
don't
I'm sure there's
think so.
I'm sure there's minor. I'm sure there's still some changes over the years, but I mean, yes, we have people now, like we mentioned. You can live stream a concert, have the camera just pointing at the stage, and you're just sitting in the comfort of your own home watching it on your television. I mean, the concept of that has, and that's been kind of there since I guess Saturday Night Live has invited big artists to perform a song, but that's not the same as a full-on concert.
Well, I mean, it kind of is when it comes to the audience members.
Yeah.
They're there seeing whoever, Billie Eilish or something.
Mm.
There, that's worth something too. Um, in Bullet 8, one of the things is audience engagement, right?
Yeah.
So I promise this tangent is related, and I'm going to swing it back. But have you ever heard of idols?
Idols? I have.
IDOLS.
Yes, I have.
What kind of idols have you heard of?
Like, are you talking like musical idols? Talking about something. I mean, American Idol. I know that, but then
That's a show.
like
I'm not talking about that. That's no, 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 no. If that's what you're thinking, then clear your
scrap
mind
it.
of everything except for fine dining and your name and breathing. Not American Idol, not Britain Idol. I'm talking about idols
Like an influential.
in some sense of the word. So I'll move on to what I was going to say then. In a lot of Asian countries, mainly Japan and South Korea, there are, let's just say, bands, right? There are boy bands and girl groups, right? Who are, they range anywhere from, 3 people to, in some cases, 50. Like, literally, like 50 artists who are under the same band name.
Hmm.
But they are called idols over there, right? Um, and the whole culture is a lot different than, say, how we would treat a band over here, a boy band or girl group
Hmm.
over here. It's a lot different. So, what I wanted to kind of tie back into it was the audience engagement part. I'm specifically talking about Japanese idols right now.
Hmm.
Not too familiar, well versed with any of the other ones, but I do know a bit of Japanese idols. That's all I'll go into. But something that they do at their concerts is they hand out glow sticks that represent one of the members, right? If your favorite is I Hochimiya, right? You might grab an orange glow stick or 2 orange glow sticks and dance around to the groove with those orange sticks. If your favorite was, I don't know, Yukihira, then you could grab blue or whatever. All of the members have their corresponding colors, so it's kind of a way of seeing who is popular, right? Because you see the audience is filled with orange glow sticks, but there's not enough blue ones. Well, a lot of people like the orange, right? A lot more than the other ones. Um, so typically, that audience engagement is a real way of knowing on the company side of things, on the management side of things, which member is worth maybe boosting up a bit, maybe being successful on their own instead of in the group. That's a factor of things. Now, to tie it back, that is an audience engagement sort of thing that has slowly been kind of introduced to Western society. Probably not in the things that you would probably go to, but probably things that I would go to actually. Like, we'll probably start seeing the glow stick era in Western society. I mean, I think yesterday, really. Like, um,
Yeah.
yeah, the audience engagement is definitely evolving. It's well, it's one thing if you're looking at a scope of just rock and roll. Maybe nothing's changed for 100 years, but to look at the whole scope of things every single genre out there, a lot of things have definitely improved and evolved. Some probably even doing worse than what 100 years
Hmm.
would have been. That's just the that's just evolution for you. But if it's not broke, don't fix it. But sometimes people try to fix what's already not broken, so then it breaks even further.
So I guess that's aspect. Maybe we'll start to see more of that in the next couple of years.
Totally.
Just like going to the movies or going to anywhere, any public place, there's always rules. We have concert etiquette. Concerts have their own etiquette, just like any other place does. Um, I mean, I guess now the rule of, hey, do not record or take pictures is now impossible since people have video cameras and photo cameras already on their phones. So now that rule's become non existent, but
Still
there used to be a
exists. It exists still. It's still
kind of.
pretty, in some people's opinions, it's still pretty douchey to record a thing, especially whenever like the MC is pretty much saying, "Hey, for the sake of the concert goers around you and for the stage, please do not record things." You'll still see people recording things,
They're
but
gonna.
those people are in concert goers' minds. They are disrespectful to what the wishes are of the band. Um,
Hmm.
People might say, "Oh, well, they're recording it, and that's because they're recording maybe a music video for their own selves, their own archives. The band or the group or whatever has every right to record what they want, and they have every right to say, nobody else record things. Be in the moment."
We have already people or like professional videographers that were told to record the concert for either posting on their website or on the whatever the state whatever arena's website or something like that. Probably that's probably part of why they don't want you to record, or they think you're gonna sell this as you're gonna bootleg it and sell it as something like officially from the band
Yeah,
when it's not.
definitely possible. It's one of those like things that is just frowned upon. And the people who do record things, I mean, there's a time and place for things, right? If you just want to take a picture of the band or something, maybe do it after they're done with a song or something and they're just about to head off stage for like a 15-minute break, right? Maybe that's a good time for it. Not in the middle of a performance though. Because, in my opinion, there's nothing more annoying than being behind someone who has their arms up recording something. So their arms are blocking you, their screen is blocking you.
That can get annoying.
It's just not a fun experience whenever you're ruining it for everybody else.
Yep, that I've been to places and they've had people have put their phones up just to record, and then I have to move my head, tilt my head just to see the band. But
It's like sometimes it takes every effort not to just like push their arms down, right?
mhm.
Just be
Yeah,
like, no,
no, stop.
stop it. Down, I say.
No. Also, the respects the space of the concert goers. Speaking of Travis Scott, there was a situation 2 years ago. As of the recording of this podcast, I think there was something involving people getting claustrophobic and people are tight, getting too tight. There were people that died or something. If I want to say, I don't remember everything. I can always look it up later, but tragic happened at a Travis Scott concert. He kept going, kept singing as someone in the audience.
That since obviously I spent, 10 minutes saying that I've been to concerts before, so I have that side of things too.
Mhm.
You just can't see that something is happening in the audience.
You can't. Not yeah,
It's
you.
one thing if it's like the front row and it's like clearly obvious, but depending on, okay, maybe it's an indoor stage with blaring lights that make it so you could pretty much only see the front row.
Mhm.
Maybe it's an outdoor stage where there's just a lot of people and you can't see somebody who's on the ground if everybody around them is just there. Give benefit of doubt whenever it comes to stuff like that because with someone like Travis Scott, he's performing for like thousands of people. I don't think he's focused on the audience. He's probably trying to perform to everybody. That's my so I can give
Me.
the benefit of the doubt there. That's
There's plenty of reasons
so
as to what.
to flame him for that is kind of not it shows that you've never been in like a concert. And I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about like people who flame somebody who doesn't notice certain things.
Mhm.
There's a side of it where it's like notice a needle in a haystack sort of deal. Oh no, not
No.
to disrespect any of the fallen, because that is obviously a tragic event to have happened. If it was legitimate, um, it's a tragedy and
Mhm.
should be handled better. Like maybe if there was a EMT in the front row or something, like waiting for different events to happen, right? Like station different doctors and stuff around so then they can watch out for things or it even happens, but that's tangent. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, that was a crazy thing that happened.
Are there any other rules?
Um, probably mention. Um, the future of concerts.
Oh,
Well, there.
I was still talking about rules.
Well,
Because there are
I
some that I could think of. Anyway.
um, I guess the biggest thing is have a good time, which I'm sure that's obvious, but respectful to those around you. Audio visual recording, no flash photography.
Right.
Have fun.
There are also a few more that I could think of right now. Like for example, so to let the performer actually perform the song.
Oh, definitely don't. Do not do not distract the performer.
I mean, it's like two sides of a coin sort of thing where it's like, yes, there's unity, there's a cool thing in singing at the same time as the performer or humming along or doing whatever. There is a sense of that, but it's equally important to have Lady Gaga singing few parts of the song on her own. She doesn't
Mhm.
need, you know, tone deaf Annie in the third row to join her with everything. It sounds rude for saying it, but you got a perfect balance sort of thing. Like if you know every word and every syllable, every whatever, sometimes you gotta back up and just let them perform it. Because there's a time and place for, engagement. Usually, like the lead singer or something will start clapping along if they want you to clap, or start maybe the drummer will go in the microphone being like, "Everybody, sing along now," or something like that. There are times and places, but the performers perform a little bit without yourself. That's just I feel like that's one of the things that
It depends on the artist too. If they don't care, then okay, you can sing with them.
True.
But
That's definitely a possibility. There is a time and place, but if let's say if you are a newcomer to this place, just chill out, listen to the thing, and maybe watch the people around you, see what they're doing. Like like something that I do enjoy about like stories about like the heavy metal concerts. Like you've heard mosh pits, right? Those are basically people fight each other and run and cause havoc and whatever.
mm-hmm,
But there are some bands who really care about their audience to the point where they'll be like, "Okay, stop the music. This person down. Are you okay? Do you need some?" They will stop the performance just for one person that fell down
yeah,
in chaos. They'll be like, "Okay, stop. We're not doing the mosh anymore. You'll get kicked out or something." They'll literally take it one step further, and that's why a lot of the time the heavy metal, the death metal people are the most like kindest people, and they're the ones who are like screaming and singing about death.
mm-hmm.
But they're like, you know, the teddy bears who happen to have all over them or something, right? Like,
Or I'm just thinking of Lotso from Toy Story 3. He's a bear, all soft, but on the dark. When he's a singer, the stuff that he sings about is pretty dark.
but like the messages, like they're very very kind people.
They're probably kind people, but the songs they're singing about are about death and stuff.
That's the irony of it. But if
Yeah.
you've never seen any of the like heavy metal, I think like Metallica is one who like will stop the show. Could be wrong about that, but some some can be like, hey, stop the show. Is this audience member okay? Do you need help? Gonna start until they're feeling better because it's a
Yeah.
unity thing. They care.
Yeah. Final topic will be about the future of concerts.
Nice.
Um, see, and then this is coming from somebody who's just gone to concerts. This is just perspective. We're probably still gonna see AR. Maybe we'll have more, maybe like on live television. They'll televise a whole concert, which I'm sure probably not a new concept again, but this I don't know. We just don't know. There'll probably be better ways of perhaps we probably already have, and it's only that good at the experience.
Yeah, I mean, once again, I'm going to sound like a broken record here, but the concept of virtual concerts, right? That idea of, tuning in and whatever. You are not physically there, but you're kind of seeing it, right? In some aspect,
Hmm.
unless it's a pre-recorded thing, then whatever, but it still feels like you're there. There's probably going to be an evolution of that sort of technology where instead of just you're in like a room that kind of simulates like a 360 camera, but it's like you could get up and kind of go around and whatever. It, I want to say virtual reality meets virtual reality without a headset is what I'm trying to
Hmm.
go for, right? Where it's like you're just in a room. You could kind of have personal connection with people, like high five them and have sensors on your hand or something that makes it feel like you're actually getting high five. But like kind of a way of but not being there at the same time. Maybe holographic concerts.
Hmm.
Weird. It's literally happening in front of you, but it's made out of holograms.
But I mean, yeah, I guess that's. I mean, I was thinking about that, but I'm like, okay, it can only get so good.
Well,
I mean,
there's a part of it that you're trying to ground it in realism. If realism was not a factor, what do you think like a concert could turn into if any technology was possible? Anything.
again, like you mentioned, a hologram probably or AI generated concert.
It kind of is happening, man. You ever hear
We already had
you ever hear of
we.
Nero-sama?
I mean, but
You have not.
by speaking of, I heard of recently. I heard about some AI musical artists, like something Indiana. I forgot. Starting to get AI artists.
Which technically we could do a part two of AI soon, but
I knew.
not quite yet. I'm not
Found the
quite
name.
ready for that.
Found the name. Anna, Indiana.
Anna and Deanne. That's a tongue twister there.
That's probably the only other thing I could see being a future.
But you're still trying to ground it in reality. Maybe there's a that we could tame birds to holograms made of poop. That's still holograms. Um, that's just a different.
Yeah, maybe we will have a hologram.
But possibly different events where it's like like a technology that gets implanted in everybody's minds, so they can just be a bad dancer or something for any concert that they want to go to because all they have to do is button and oh suddenly I know the choreography just because it's implanted in my head. Sort of things like that where it's like it brings a new meaning to audience engagement where it's you are literally on stage when you might not have thought you were going to be last night.
Maybe we will be. That could be a possibility.
Just brain implants that make you a professional at everything.
Maybe I can be a backup vocalist.
No implant's going to help you with that. No, just kidding.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, like an AR experience, right? We kind of have a little bit of that idea, but it's like maybe Shake Hatsune Miku, an animated character, but you're obviously real, but just have like an experience, like a hybrid concert experience with the technological side and the physical side, I guess. An interesting future. I myself can't think of any other possible of technology yet because the
If we're
technology
talking
hasn't
about
come yet.
what if what if we had like hands that aren't real, they can become real using some technique of the future.
God, like, I'm going to sound like such a 12-year-old here, but you know the Five Nights at Freddy's franchise, right?
Yes.
That's so. I don't. I don't mean the gruesome way, but I more so mean like, oh, you can put an artificial intelligence chip in motherboard, and suddenly you have a band that technically will never die. Maybe needs some mechanic fixing, but on forever and ever and ever because they don't perish. Back to Five Nights at Freddy's. I'm not talking about the gruesome. Oh, children die and get stuffed in these suits.
I was thinking about the first. I mean, the first thing I was thinking about was the singing animatronics, not necessarily that
Right.
part.
That's the part you should focus on.
Or how about the fake band Boys Who Cry? They could become. They could be used as a hologram.
Man, I only need four ply when I
Mm.
that's all about Pearl.
Yep, that could. Hey,
We're already at the point where people can sample those literally 2 minutes of audio where they're on the scene and suddenly you can literally make any song with voice across.
yeah. Yep, they could literally do what they want. They could probably make them sing Backstreet Boys songs, but
There's
that,
definitely going to be more artificial intelligence in
but
the music scene, but the
we'll
only
talk about that.
the only thing with that is we need to know what the rules are because it's still a new horizon. We
Yeah,
don't know. Do.
yeah. But yes, if we do a part 2, we can talk more about this. But anything else you want to talk about before this ends?
Um, I am going on a world tour this summer. It is going to be 2029 through 2039. Yes, it's a 10-year. Uh, it's a 10-year
Perfect.
tour. It's so I'm starting in Denver, Colorado. Then I'm gonna be moving on to Sacramento, Washington. That's not where
You nailed it.
Sacramento is. I'm going
Yep.
to then go to Juneau, Hawaii. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
How about
then go on a ship to North Korea because they have good discounts there.
uh-huh. Yeah.
Then I'm gonna spend 8 more years in prison because they don't like me there. That
Yeah.
that's why it takes 10 years for my world tour, right? Because I've spent
Well, you
8 of it as a prisoner.
sounds like you got your whole life planned out.
Uh,
Perfect.
my whole life planned out. What the heck? That's only 10 years.
Well, sounds like you're shaping your future already.
Oh yeah, that's my this year plan starting in 2029 apparently because
Yep.
I could time travel, right? Yeah.
I'm sure you can. AI.
Yeah. Well, watch my world tour. That's definitely happening.
Oh yeah.
Be sure to stream um for on Spotify. There you go.
Perfect. And as for me, uh I don't know what I'm gonna do. Maybe I'll climb some mountains and then tumble down them.
Oh, I
Go
get
skiing
it.
down the hills.
I
Skiing.
get it because this is rock and rolling.
Yeah, Yeah, I figured I'd rock and roll for real this time. Just check that out in 2050.
50. Yep.
And by then we will one of us have, well, maybe you'll have been to a real concert, or I may have gone to more.
By
But
2050, I hope so.
yeah, hopefully. But I think this is I think I've talked about really what's needed to be said. Thank you for listening. And I should bring this up because this has been a topic that we've been discussing. It's about we've been project since summer.
Oh yeah, let us have it.
A few things done as of this recording, and
Uh-huh.
I still can't promise when it will be out. But again, we'll we'll keep bringing it up until
it's happening.
it's happening, and then we'll still keep you updated every end of the episode. So but yeah, this has been a rock and roll journey of the DomJake podcast. If you have any concert experience, let us know in the comments. If you share your experience with us, and we'd love to have a conversation. To say, unless Jake here has something else to say.
Yes, I certainly do. Dallas, Texas, you've been an amazing show.
All right, and
Rah, rah.
awesome. Thank you all
Love
for
you,
listening.
Dallas.
All right, that's it. I'm ending the show. Thank you. No, yes. Thank you all for listening, and DomJake has left the building.
Rah, rah. We love you. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
Have my baby.
That is not going to happen. Fuck off, sir.
I'm actually your mom.
Uh,